reaches to the heavens. Your faithfulness, it reaches to the sky. Your righteousness.
Do you know how Romans and the Greek-speaking peoples of the first century were able to pick out the Christians so easily in their society? It was because of the Christians' behavior. That's how. The Christians behaved differently to everybody else. For instance, I don't know if you realize it, but one of the great banes of life in the first century was the plague. Plagues and epidemics of all kinds ravaged the major cities of the ancient world. And when the citizens of Rome or Corinth or Philippi realized that the disease had got out of hand, they all acted the same way. They grabbed all the belongings they could and they fled the city as fast as possible, lest they catch the plague. They left homes behind, they left belongings, livestock, they left their own relatives behind. They were so afraid of these epidemics and plagues that got completely out of hand in those days. But the contemporary historians all testify to the one fact: everybody fled except the people called Christian. And even if they had escaped the city already, if they knew there were victims back there in the city, their own relatives or others' friends, they went back despite the threat to their own lives, and they rescued those people. And so they were most noticeable in the society of the first century by the fact that they did not seem to fear death, and that they would do whatever was needed to express the love and the kindness of their God to others. The Christian faith changed the way they behaved. And it was the same in the 18th century in England. In the 18th century in England, all the vices and inequities that were plaguing French society were present in English society. There was an upper class that was indifferent to the needs of anybody else but itself. There was a middle class that wanted power and the ability to rule. There was a working class that saw no reason for living at all. It was so poor. And yet, the evangelical revival of Christian faith under Wesley so changed people's attitudes to one another that all historians say the same as Lecky. The evangelical revival of Christian faith saved England from a French Revolution. And that's true, loved ones. Again, the Christian faith changed the behavior of the society so that the classes began to show real humanity and concern and care for one another. And so they avoided the catastrophic revolution that almost destroyed French society. Again, the Christian faith changed the way people behaved. I think it was 30 years ago, just a little over 30 years ago, the same authentic kind of revival of Christian faith changed life in an area that I think most of you know about, but few of us have ever been to, the Northern Hebridean Islands of Scotland. I don't know if you know Scottish people, but I suppose I'd be Scots-Irish. And apart from the Irish side, we're a dour lot. We really are. And loved ones in the Hebridean Islands of Scotland are a dour, silent lot. They can endure and bear a lot, but they don't show much excitement or much interest in anything. And the Hebridean Islands of Scotland were like that. Until about 30 or 35 years ago, they experienced a Christian revival of religion. Really a dramatic movement of God's Spirit in the society that meant that many came to know God because of their attitude to Jesus. And I think I've shared with you before, it so affected the lives of the community, with people giving back things that they had stolen, apologizing to others for things that they had done. It so affected the lives of the people in the community that the judges and the magistrates wore white gloves in the courtrooms for the first time in living memory, because they had no criminal cases to try. So again, the Christian faith changed the way people behaved. So today, in America, everybody knows the phrase born again. Evangelical Christian faith is more popular in America today than almost at any other time in our history. Our president is born again. Members of the opposite party that he ousted have been born again since the tragedy of Watergate. There are TV stars who have been born again. There are singers who have been born again. There are football players who have been born again. There is more money spent on Christian television and Christian book publishing than at any other time in our history. There are more people attending church today than virtually at any other time in our history. And yet, crime on the streets of our cities has increased steadily and relentlessly. That's true. We have an anomaly in America at this present time. We have something that calls itself the Christian faith, but does not seem to radically affect the behavior of our society. Here we have a break from the authentic, classic Christianity that has been expressed throughout the world, down through the centuries. Here we have a Christian faith that does not seem to change the way people behave. It has not at all affected the incredible increase in crime that goes on from year to year in our society, both petty and violent crime. This is a kind of Christian faith that seems to be different from the way God's Spirit has ever operated in the past. It is not producing a change in people's behavior. Now, why? Why do we face this anomaly? Why are we facing a great rise in Christian activity? And you must admit it's everywhere. It's almost sickening it's so everywhere. But why are we experiencing this tremendous increase in evangelical Christianity? And yet